The stars stretched into lines of light as 10,000 human ships dropped out of hyperspace. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, his hands gripping the metal railing until his knuckles turned white. 30,000 years had passed since humans last saw their home system. Now they had returned. "Sir, long-range sensors are picking up the Sol system," Captain Lisa Hayes said from her station. Her voice was steady, but Jake could hear the tension underneath. Everyone on the bridge felt it. This was the moment their entire civilization had worked toward for 300 centuries. Jake looked at the main screen. There in the distance was a small yellow star, the same star that had warmed Earth when humans first learned to make fire. The same star they had fled from when the Zephyrians came to destroy everything they loved. "Take us closer, Captain Hayes. But keep the fleet spread out. We don't know what's waiting for us," Jake ordered. The Retribution was massive, stretching over 5 miles from nose to tail. It was built in the shipyards of New Austin, one of the human colonies that had grown strong during their long exile. Behind it followed ships from every human settlement in the galaxy. Liberty Station had sent its fastest cruisers. Haven's Rest contributed its heavy battleships. Every human world had given something to this fleet. Commander Rick Stone walked up to Jake's side. Rick ran the intelligence division and had spent years studying everything they knew about the Zephyrians. "Admiral, we're getting clearer readings now." "It's not good?" Jake nodded. He had expected this. "Show me." The main screen changed to show Earth. Jake's heart sank. The planet that had once been blue and green was now brown and gray. The oceans looked like acid. The atmosphere was full of poison. Nothing could live there anymore. "The Zephyrians strip-mined it," Rick explained. "They took everything valuable and left it to die." "Our home is dead, sir." Captain Lisa Hayes turned from her station. "Sir, we're picking up movement around Mars. Looks like the bugs are using it as a breeding world. The red planet is covered in their hive structures." Jake felt anger building in his chest. The Zephyrians were an insectoid race that looked like giant mantises. They had conquered Earth when humans were still learning to travel between stars. Most humans had died in the war. The survivors fled to distant worlds and spent 30,000 years planning their return. Dr. Amy Foster approached from the science station. She was tall and thin, with gray hair tied back in a simple knot. Amy had been working on their secret weapons for decades. "Admiral, should we begin phase 1 of the operation?" Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. These people had trained their entire lives for this moment. Their parents had trained for it. Their grandparents had trained for it. Every generation of humans in exile had prepared for this day. "Dr. Foster, remind everyone what we're capable of now," Jake said. Amy smiled for the first time since they had arrived. "Our ships can shift between dimensions, Admiral. We can exist in parallel realities and strike from angles the Zephyrians can't even see. While they remained stuck with old technology, we kept advancing. We learned to bend space and time itself." Commander Stone nodded. "Intelligence reports that the bugs think we're extinct. They stopped watching for us centuries ago. They have no idea what's coming." Jake walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, his officers waited for orders. These were the best humans had to offer. Lisa Hayes had commanded ships in the border wars against the Krillian Empire. Rick Stone had infiltrated alien governments and stolen their secrets. Amy Foster had invented weapons that could tear holes in reality itself. Captain Hayes sent a message to all fleet commanders. "Tell them to begin reconnaissance operations. I want to know everything about Zephyrian positions in this system. But stay hidden. We're not ready to reveal ourselves yet." "Yes, sir," Lisa replied, her fingers dancing over the communication controls. The bridge became busy as orders went out to the fleet. Jake watched the activity and felt a mixture of pride and sadness. Pride because humanity had not only survived but had grown stronger during their exile. Sadness because of what they had lost. Chief Engineer Gary Mitchell appeared on the main screen via video link from the engine room. Gary was a big man with calloused hands and oil stains on his uniform. He had been working around the clock to upgrade their weapons. "Admiral, the dimensional phase cannons are ready for combat. The quantum torpedoes are loaded and calibrated. The Retribution is ready to show these bugs what humans can do." Jake nodded. "Good work, Gary. How long until the entire fleet is ready?" "Give me 6 hours, sir. Every ship will be operating at peak efficiency." Dr. Foster pulled up a holographic display showing Earth in detail. "Admiral, I'm detecting something interesting." Deep underground, there are still some energy readings. Very faint, but they're there. Rick Stone frowned. What kind of energy readings? The kind that suggests someone is still alive down there, Amy answered. The bridge went quiet. Everyone stared at the display showing their dead world. Could it be possible that some humans had survived 30,000 years on poisoned Earth? Send a coded transmission to those coordinates, Jake ordered. Use the old Earth protocols from before the war. If there are humans down there, they might still remember them. Captain Hayes worked at her station for several minutes. Then she looked up with surprise on her face. Sir, we're getting a response. It's weak, but it's definitely using human encryption codes. Jake felt his heart racing. What does it say? Lisa listened to her earpiece, then looked up with tears in her eyes. Admiral, they're saying welcome home. We've been waiting for you. We know how to kill the bugs. Jake turned to look at Earth on the main screen. Somewhere down there, in tunnels deep underground, humans had survived. They had endured 30,000 years of hell waiting for this day. They had information that could help win the war. All stations prepare for Phase 2 operations, Jake announced to the bridge. We're going to save our people and take back our world. The Zephyrians are about to learn that humans never forget, and we never forgive. The fleet of 10,000 ships moved deeper into the Sol system, ready to begin the greatest military operation in human history. After 30,000 years of exile, humanity had returned home, and they had come for revenge. Captain Ben Clark piloted his scout ship through the darkness between worlds. His vessel was no bigger than an old Earth fighter jet, but it packed technology that would have seemed like magic to his ancestors. The ship could become invisible, silent, and even shift slightly out of normal space to avoid detection. Ben had volunteered for the most dangerous job in the fleet. While Admiral Morrison's main force waited at the edge of the system, Ben and 50 other scouts were mapping every Zephyrian position in the Sol system. They needed to know exactly what they were facing before the real war began. This is Scout 7 to all units, Ben whispered into his communication device. I'm approaching Mars orbit now. Holy hell, you need to see this. The red planet was no longer red. It was black and writhing with life. Massive biostructures covered the surface like cancerous growths. These were Zephyrian breeding hives where the insect aliens laid their eggs and raised their young. Ben counted at least 100 hive complexes, each one capable of producing thousands of Zephyrian warriors. Scout leader to Scout 7, came the reply from Lieutenant Katie Brooks, who was leading the reconnaissance mission to Luna. Copy your report, Ben. I've got something even worse here. Ben switched his communication system to receive Katie's video feed. What he saw made him want to vomit. The moon had been turned into a monument to Zephyrian victory. Under a massive transparent dome, the last human city had been preserved exactly as it was on the day it fell 30,000 years ago. Human skeletons sat at cafe tables. Children's bones lay scattered in playgrounds. Families had been preserved in their final moments running from the Zephyrian attack. Worst of all, Zephyrian tourists moved through the dome looking at the dead humans like they were exhibits in a museum. They're using our people as a tourist attraction. Katie's voice was full of rage. There are Zephyrian families bringing their children here to see the great victory over humanity. Ben felt his hands tighten on his ship's controls. Every human in the fleet would want to see this. Every human would feel the same burning anger that was building in his chest right now. All scouts, continue your missions, came Admiral Morrison's voice over the communication system. I know what you're seeing is hard, but we need complete intelligence before we act. Stay focused. Ben forced himself to calm down and continued his survey of Mars. He counted orbital defense platforms, weapon installations, and ship construction yards. The Zephyrians had built a major military base here, but their ships looked old and slow compared to human technology. Meanwhile, back on the Retribution, Chief Engineer Gary Mitchell was working 18-hour days to upgrade the fleet's weapons. Gary had been born on Haven's Rest, a world where humans had learned to build things that existed partially in other dimensions. His plasma cannons could fire through normal space into parallel realities, making them almost impossible to defend against. Admiral Morrison, you need to see this, Gary said as he entered the bridge. He was carrying a small device that looked like a crystal wrapped in metal wires. This is a quantum torpedo warhead. When it explodes, it doesn't just damage ships in our dimension. It damages them across multiple parallel dimensions at the same time. Dr. Amy Foster examined the device with interest. How many do we have? Every ship in the fleet carries at least 50 of them. The big battleships carry 500 each, Gary replied. The Zephyrians have never seen anything like this. Their shields and armor are designed to stop conventional weapons. Admiral Morrison studied the weapon with satisfaction. Good work, Gary. What about our defensive systems? That's the beautiful part, sir. Our dimensional phase generators don't just let us attack from other dimensions. They let us hide in them too. A Zephyrian weapon can't hit what doesn't fully exist in their reality. Dr. Foster was monitoring the communications from the underground survivors on Earth. The signals were getting stronger. As human technicians worked to boost the transmission power, Admiral, I'm getting more detailed information from the surface survivors. What are they telling us? Morrison asked. Amy pulled up a holographic display showing the interior of Earth. They call themselves tunnel rats now. They've been living in deep underground cities for 30,000 years. The Zephyrians think they're extinct, but there are actually millions of them down there. Commander Rick Stone joined the conversation. What have they learned during all that time? Everything about Zephyrian weaknesses, Amy answered. They've been watching the bugs, studying them, preparing for the day when humans would return. They know how the hive mind works. They know where the queens are located. Most importantly, they know how to shut down the entire Zephyrian control system. Morrison felt excitement building. How? Amy's display changed to show massive biomechanical structures deep inside Earth's core. The Zephyrian queens aren't just controlling their forces in the Sol system. They're controlling Zephyrian forces across the entire galaxy. All of them are connected through quantum entanglement to queen chambers built into Earth's molten core. Rick Stone understood immediately. If we destroy the queens in Earth's core, we cripple the entire Zephyrian empire. Not just here, but everywhere. That's right, Amy confirmed. But there's more. The tunnel rats have discovered that the Zephyrians are using Earth's core as a power source for something big. Something that could destroy entire star systems. Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. A weapon? The biggest weapon ever built? They're planning to use it if they're ever seriously threatened. The tunnel rats think the Zephyrians would rather destroy everything than lose their empire. Gary Mitchell scratched his head. So we need to get to Earth's core, destroy the queens, and disable the superweapon, all while fighting the entire Zephyrian fleet. Morrison smiled grimly. That's exactly what we're going to do. But first, we need to clear the system of enemy forces. Ben Cady, how are the reconnaissance missions going? Ben's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, we've mapped every major Zephyrian position. They have about 2,000 ships in the system, but most of them are old cargo vessels or civilian transports. Their military ships number maybe 300, Cady added her report. The orbital defenses around Earth are strong, but they're designed to keep people out, not to fight a real space battle. If we can get past them, the planet's surface defenses are minimal. Morrison looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. These people had spent their entire lives preparing for this moment. Behind them, 10,000 human ships waited for the order to attack. Dr. Foster, send a message to the tunnel rats. Tell them we'll be coming for them soon. Tell them to be ready to guide us to the queen chambers. Already done, Admiral, Amy replied. Morrison walked to the center of the bridge. All stations prepare for combat operations. Send word to all fleet commanders. Tomorrow we begin the liberation of Earth. After 30,000 years of exile, humanity is going home. The bridge crew began their final preparations. In a few hours, the largest human military operation in history would begin. The Zephyrians had no idea what was coming for them. The attack began at Neptune's orbital mining stations. Commander Paul Rogers led the first strike. His squadron of heavy cruisers phasing into normal space directly inside the Zephyrian defensive perimeter. The insect aliens had never seen anything like it. One moment their sensors showed empty space, and the next moment human warships were firing quantum torpedoes at point-blank range. Paul watched his tactical display with grim satisfaction as Zephyrian bioships exploded in balls of blue fire. The aliens were trying to return fire, but their weapons passed harmlessly through human ships that existed partially in other dimensions. First Squadron to Admiral Morrison, Paul reported over the communication system. Neptune stations are destroyed. No human casualties. The bugs never knew what hit them. 30,000 years of technological advancement had made humans into something the Zephyrians couldn't understand or fight. While the aliens had grown lazy and weak, ruling over conquered peoples, humans had been pushed to the edge of extinction and forced to evolve or die. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the Retribution. watching the tactical display as human forces swept through the outer system. Excellent work, Commander Rogers. All units, proceed to Phase 2. Take the asteroid mining belt. Lieutenant Colonel Nina Green prepared her Marines for boarding operations. Nina was a small woman, but inside her powered armor she became 8 feet tall and stronger than 10 normal humans. Her soldiers had been genetically enhanced during their long exile. Their bones made stronger, their reflexes faster, their minds sharper. Listen up, Marines. Nina spoke to her troops over the communication system. We're about to board Zephyrian bioships for the first time in 30,000 years. These bugs think they're the rulers of the galaxy. Let's remind them what humans are capable of. Nina's assault transport phased directly into the cargo bay of a Zephyrian heavy cruiser. Her Marines spread out immediately, their weapons firing streams of plasma that cut through Zephyrian bioarmor like paper. The insect aliens tried to fight back, but they moved too slowly, and their weapons were too weak. The Zephyrians had designed their ships to fight other aliens who used conventional tactics. They had never faced enemies who could appear inside their ships without warning. They had never fought soldiers who could absorb their weapon hits and keep fighting. Boarding party to Fleet Command, Nina reported as her Marines secured the ship's control center. Target secured. These bioships are even uglier on the inside than they look from outside. Down. Zephyrian Admiral Clickstar stood in his command, chambered deep inside a massive battle station near Mars. He was over 1,000 years old and had personally commanded the conquest of Earth. He had watched human cities burn and human children cry as their parents were killed. Now, for the first time in centuries, he was afraid. How are they doing this? Clickstar screeched in the clicking language of his people. The humans were extinct. We destroyed their world. We hunted down every survivor. His communications officer, a younger Zephyrian named Vextal, studied the incoming reports with confusion. Admiral, our ships are being destroyed without our weapons even touching the enemy. They appear from nowhere, attack and vanish again. Clickstar's multiple eyes focused on the tactical display. In less than 6 hours, the humans had destroyed every Zephyrian installation in the outer system. They moved like ghosts, striking from impossible angles and disappearing before return fire could be organized. Send word to the homeworlds, Clickstar ordered. Tell them the humans have returned and they have technology we cannot match. Request immediate reinforcements. Meanwhile, Colonel Steve Harper led atmospheric fighters in the first aerial battle over Earth in 30,000 years. His pilots were descendants of the greatest aces in human history, flying ships that could dance between dimensions while firing weapons that existed in multiple realities at once. Steve dove his fighter through a formation of Zephyrian air defense craft, his plasma cannons tearing them apart with surgical precision. The aliens tried to track him with their sensors, but he kept shifting between parallel dimensions, becoming impossible to target. Red Squadron, this is Red Leader, Steve called to his pilots. Form up on me. We're going to clear a path to the underground access points. Our people down there have been waiting 30,000 years for this moment. The human fighters swept across Earth's poisoned sky like avenging angels. They destroyed Zephyrian surface installations with ruthless efficiency while carefully avoiding areas where the tunnel rats had their hidden entrances. Dr. Tony Wright was the fleet's expert on underground operations. He had spent years studying the reports from the tunnel rats, learning about their hidden cities and secret passages. Now he was coordinating with them to prepare for the main assault on Earth's core. Admiral Morrison, Tony reported from his station. The tunnel rats are ready to guide our forces to the Queen Chambers. They've been mapping the biomechanical structures for thousands of years. They know every passage, every weak point, every way in and out. Morrison nodded. What about the doomsday weapon they mentioned? It's real, sir. The Zephyrians have been building it for 20,000 years. It's designed to create a chain reaction that would destroy not just our solar system, but dozens of nearby systems. If they activate it, billions of humans in our colonies could die. Morrison felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. This wasn't just about revenge for Earth anymore. It was about protecting every human settlement in the galaxy. How long do we have? Morrison asked. The tunnel rats think the weapon takes about 12 hours to charge to full power. Once the Zephyrians realize they're losing the system, they'll try to activate it rather than surrender. Morrison looked around his bridge. His crew was working with calm efficiency, even though they all understood the stakes. If they failed here, humanity might be wiped out entirely. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Morrison, he announced over the communication system. We are beginning the final phase of the operation. All ships move to Earth orbit. Prepare for the largest military assault in human history. The human fleet moved toward Earth like a swarm of metallic angels, 10,000 ships strong, carrying the hopes and dreams of every human settlement in the galaxy. They had come home to settle a debt that was 30,000 years overdue. Captain Lisa Hayes studied the orbital defenses around Earth. The Zephyrians had built massive weapon platforms and shield generators, but they were designed to fight conventional enemies. Against humans who could phase in and out of reality, they would be nearly useless. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian command station, Lisa reported. Put it on the main screen, Morrison ordered. The hideous face of Admiral Clickstar appeared on the display. The ancient Zephyrian's multiple eyes glowed with hatred and fear. So the humans return at last, Clickstar said in broken human speech. You think you can reclaim your dead world? You think you can challenge the might of our empire? Morrison stepped forward. Admiral Clickstar, I presume. I am Admiral Jake Morrison of the United Earth Fleet. You're going to surrender your forces and evacuate our system immediately. Clickstar's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. Surrender? We destroyed you once, human. We will destroy you again. Earth belongs to us now. Morrison smiled coldly. Admiral, you've been ruling over conquered peoples for so long. You've forgotten what it's like to face a real enemy. Let me remind you, the transmission ended. Around Earth's orbit, 10,000 human ships began to phase into normal space. The space battle around Earth began like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Captain Lisa Hayes led her suicide squadron directly into the heart of the Zephyrian orbital defense grid. Her ships phased in and out of reality, appearing inside enemy shield perimeters and disappearing before the aliens could react. This is Sword Leader to all units. Lisa called over the communication system as her cruiser materialized next to a Zephyrian battle station. Target the shield generators first. Make them fight blind. Her quantum torpedoes tore through the alien station's bioarmor like it was made of paper. The Zephyrians inside died instantly as their atmosphere was sucked into space. All around Earth's orbit, similar scenes played out as human ships struck from impossible angles. Admiral Morrison watched the tactical display from the bridge of the Retribution. The battle was going better than he had hoped, but he knew the real challenge lay ahead. The orbital defenses were just the beginning. Commander Stone, what's the status on the ground assault? Morrison asked. Rick Stone studied his intelligence reports. General Wilson's forces are ready to deploy, sir. The tunnel rats have identified 17 access points that lead directly to the core chambers. We can get our people underground without fighting through the surface defenses. Morrison nodded. And the doomsday weapon? Still charging, sir? The tunnel rats estimate we have about 8 hours before it reaches critical power levels. The space battle raged across the entire solar system. Commander Matt Johnson's heavy cruisers emerged from dimensional rifts behind Zephyrian command ships, their massive guns tearing the alien vessels apart. The Zephyrians tried to form defensive formations, but humans kept appearing where they couldn't exist. Captain Julie Davis led her destroyer squadrons in pursuit of fleeing Zephyrian ships. Her vessels were small and fast, designed for hunting down enemies who tried to escape. The aliens had ruled the galaxy for so long that they had forgotten how to run from a superior enemy. Destroyer Squadron 7 to Admiral Morrison, Julie reported. We've cornered a group of Zephyrian transports trying to evacuate their civilian population from Mars. What are your orders, sir? Morrison considered this carefully. These were not warriors, but alien families trying to escape the battle. Let them go, Captain Davis. We're not here to massacre civilians. We're here to free our world. On the ground, General Frank Wilson prepared for the largest human military operation in history. Frank was a veteran of the border wars, where humans had fought other alien species during their long exile. He knew how to coordinate massive ground assaults against enemies who thought they were unbeatable. Frank's soldiers were something new in the galaxy. They had been genetically enhanced to be stronger, faster, and smarter than normal humans. Their weapons existed partially in other dimensions, making them nearly impossible to defend against. Their armor could phase through solid matter when needed. All ground units, this is General Wilson, Frank spoke into his communication device. We are about to begin Operation Homecoming. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every human who died when Earth fell. We're fighting for our children's future. The assault began at dawn over the former site of New York City. 17 human strike forces phased directly into underground tunnel networks, guided by tunnel rats who had been preparing for this moment their entire lives. Major Rachel Turner led Alpha Team through passages that hadn't seen sunlight in 30,000 years. Rachel was a Special Forces officer who had trained in alien warfare her whole life. Behind her, 50 of humanity's finest soldiers followed tunnel rat guides through the maze of underground cities. Alpha Team to ground control, Rachel whispered into her microphone. We're approaching the first queen chamber. The tunnel rats were right. This place is massive. The chamber opened up before them like a cathedral made of living tissue. In the center, a creature the size of a building pulsed with alien life. This was a Zephyrian queen, one of the beings that controlled the entire enemy empire through quantum entanglement. My God, one of Rachel's soldiers breathed. That thing is controlling Zephyrian forces across the entire galaxy. Rachel raised her dimensional phase rifle. Not anymore, it isn't fire. The battle in Earth's core was unlike anything in military history. Human soldiers fought through biomechanical corridors while alien defenders tried to stop them with weapons that passed harmlessly through phased armor. The tunnel rats led the way, their knowledge of the underground maze proving invaluable. Dr. Sam Kelly, the fleet's weapons specialist, discovered something terrifying. As his team approached the doomsday weapon, the device was even more powerful than they had imagined. It wasn't just designed to destroy star systems. It was designed to tear holes in the fabric of space-time itself. General Wilson, this is Dr. Kelly. Sam reported from deep underground. The weapon is worse than we thought. If it activates, it won't just destroy our solar system. It will create a cascade effect that could unravel reality across thousands of light years. Frank Wilson felt ice in his veins. How long do we have? The tunnel rats think about 4 hours, sir. And it's heavily defended. The Zephyrians have their best warriors guarding it. Above ground, the space battle reached its climax. Admiral Clickster threw everything he had at the human fleet, but his forces were being destroyed faster than he could coordinate them. His 1,000-year-old mind couldn't adapt to enemies who fought from multiple dimensions at once. All ships, retreat to the inner system, Clickstar ordered. We will make our final stand at Earth itself. But there was no retreat for the Zephyrians. Human ships surrounded them from all directions, striking from parallel realities where the aliens couldn't see them coming. The great Zephyrian fleet that had once conquered hundreds of worlds was being torn apart by an enemy they had thought extinct. Captain Lisa Hayes received word that her squadron was needed for a special mission. Admiral Morrison, we're ready for the core strike. Morrison looked at her image on the communication screen. Lisa was one of his oldest friends, and he knew he was probably sending her to die. Lisa, are you sure about this? Once you phase your ship into Earth's molten core, there might not be a way back. Lisa smiled. Admiral, my ancestors watched Earth burn 30,000 years ago. If I have to die to set things right, that's a price I'm willing to pay. Morrison felt his throat tighten. Godspeed, Captain Hayes. Lisa's cruiser began its descent toward Earth's surface. Behind her, 17 other ships followed, each one carrying soldiers and scientists who might never see the sky again. They were heading into the heart of their dead world to destroy the creatures that had killed it. In the depths of space around Mars, Commander Matt Johnson detected something that made his blood run cold. Admiral Morrison, we have a problem. Long-range sensors are detecting Zephyrian reinforcements approaching from outside the system. Looks like at least 5,000 ships. Morrison studied the tactical display. The battle for Earth was going well. But if Zephyrian reinforcements arrived before they could destroy the Queen Chambers and disable the Doomsday weapon, everything would be lost. All units accelerate the timeline, Morrison ordered. We need to finish this now. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. In the tunnels beneath Earth, human soldiers fought their way toward alien queens. In the planet's core, Captain Lisa Hayes prepared for a suicide mission that would either save the galaxy or destroy it. Above the surface, 10,000 human ships battled to protect their comrades below. After 30,000 years of exile, humanity was finally home. But the war was far from over. Captain Lisa Hayes guided her cruiser through Earth's molten core, the ship's dimensional shields protecting it from temperatures that would have vaporized any normal vessel. Around her, the biomechanical structures built by the Zephyrians glowed with alien energy. This was the heart of their empire, the place from which they controlled their forces across the galaxy. Admiral Morrison, this is Captain Hayes. Lisa reported over the communication system. I'm approaching the primary queen chamber now. The tunnel rats were right. This thing is enormous. The chamber stretched for miles in every direction, its walls made of living tissue that pulsed with a rhythm like a massive heartbeat. In the center floated the Great Queen, a creature so large it defied description. Tentacles thick as subway trains connected it to quantum communication arrays that reached across the galaxy. Lisa, what's your status? Admiral Morrison's voice crackled through the communication system from far above. I can see why the Zephyrians chose Earth for their command center, Lisa replied. Our planet's molten core provides unlimited energy for their quantum networks. They're using our own world against us. Lisa's ship was not alone in the core. Major Rachel Turner and her ground forces had fought their way through miles of biomechanical tunnels. To reach this chamber, they had lost many good soldiers along the way, but they had made it. Captain Hayes, this is Major Turner. Rachel's voice came through the communication system. My team has placed charges on the secondary queen chambers. We're ready to detonate on your signal. Above them, General Frank Wilson coordinated the largest ground assault in human history. His forces had penetrated 17 different access points and were fighting through underground cities that the tunnel rats had mapped over thousands of years. All teams. This is General Wilson, Frank spoke into his microphone. The Zephyrian reinforcements will arrive in 2 hours. We need to finish this now. Dr. Sam Kelly and his team had reached the doomsday weapon. The device was even more terrifying up close. A massive sphere of twisted metal and alien technology that pulsed with enough energy to tear holes in reality itself. General Wilson, this is Dr. Kelly, Sam reported. I'm looking at the weapon now. The tunnel rats were right, it's preparing to fire. We have maybe 30 minutes before it reaches critical charge levels. Sam's team included some of the best engineers humanity had ever produced. They had studied Zephyrian technology for decades, preparing for this moment. But nothing could have prepared them for the sheer complexity of what they were facing. The weapon is connected directly to the Queen's nervous system, Sam explained to his team. We can't disable it without destroying the Queen first. But if we attack the Queen, she might trigger the weapon in her death throes. Back in Earth's core, Captain Lisa Hayes made a decision that would change everything. Her ship carried a dimensional phase reactor, an experimental device that could tear rifts in space-time itself. If she overloaded it near the Great Queen, the resulting explosion would destroy the entire Zephyrian command structure. It would also destroy her ship and everyone on board. Admiral Morrison, I need to tell you something, Lisa said quietly into her microphone. The only way to stop this is to overload my dimensional reactor. The explosion will destroy the Queen and disable the doomsday weapon, but… Lisa, no. Morrison's voice was filled with pain. There has to be another way. Sir, there isn't time to find another way. The reinforcements will be here soon, and if that weapon fires, billions of humans will die. Lisa looked around her bridge at her crew. They all nodded at her, understanding what needed to be done. Captain Hayes came a new voice over the communication system. It was one of the tunnel rats, an old woman named Mary who had lived underground for her entire life. There is another way. The old human tunnels connect to the Queen chamber. If your people can create a big enough explosion, we can channel it through the tunnel system. It will destroy all the queens at once, but some of you might survive. Lisa felt hope return. Mary, are you sure? Child, I've been mapping these tunnels for 80 years. Trust me. Major Rachel Turner and her soldiers began placing their remaining explosives along the tunnel walls, following Mary's instructions. If they could time everything perfectly, the explosion from Lisa's ship would be channeled through the entire underground network, destroying every queen chamber simultaneously. All teams, prepare for synchronized detonation, General Wilson ordered. On Captain Hayes' signal, we end this war. Above ground, Admiral Morrison watched as Zephyrian reinforcements appeared at the edge of the solar system. 5,000 enemy ships were moving toward Earth at maximum speed. His fleet was outnumbered, but they had one advantage. The reinforcements didn't know about human dimensional technology. All ships, prepare to engage the reinforcements, Morrison ordered. We need to buy our people on the ground more time. The space battle resumed with desperate intensity. Human ships phased in and out of reality, striking at the Zephyrian reinforcements with weapons the aliens had never seen before. But there were so many enemy ships that even advanced human technology was being overwhelmed. Commander Matt Johnson's heavy cruisers formed the center of the human battle line, their massive guns firing quantum torpedoes that exploded across multiple dimensions. Captain Julie Davis's destroyers darted between enemy formations, their speed and maneuverability keeping them alive against overwhelming odds. "Admiral, we're taking heavy casualties," Commander Stone reported. "We can't hold them much longer." In Earth's core, Captain Lisa Hayes prepared for the most important moment of her life. Around her ship, the Great Queen had begun to stir, sensing the threat to her existence. Tentacles as thick as buildings reached toward the human vessel, but Lisa's dimensional shields held them back. "All stations, prepare for reactor overload," Lisa ordered her crew. "It's been an honor serving with all of you." Her chief engineer, a young man named Bobby Cole, looked up from his station. "Captain, the reactor is ready. Overload in 10 seconds. Lisa opened communication channels to every human force in the system. "This is Captain Lisa Hayes to all human forces. Remember this day. Remember that we came home. Remember that we never gave up." The dimensional reactor overloaded in a flash of blue light that could be seen from orbit. The explosion tore through Earth's core like a tsunami of pure energy, racing through the tunnel network that the tunnel rats had spent thousands of years mapping. Every queen chamber exploded simultaneously. Every biomechanical structure built by the Zephyrians was torn apart. The quantum network that connected their empire across the galaxy went silent in an instant. Above ground, the effects were immediate and dramatic. Zephyrian ships suddenly stopped moving as their connection to the hive mind was severed. Without the queens to coordinate them, the individual aliens became confused and helpless. "All Zephyrian forces, this is Admiral Morrison." Jake broadcast on all frequencies. "Your queens are dead. Your hive mind is destroyed. Surrender now and we will allow you to live." Admiral Clickstar sat in his command chamber, staring at displays that showed nothing but static. His 1,000-year-old mind struggled to comprehend what had happened. The Great Queen was gone. The network was silent. His empire was finished. "Surrender," he whispered in his clicking language. "Signal all ships to surrender." The tunnel rats began emerging from their underground cities for the first time in 30,000 years. Mary, the old woman who had helped coordinate the final assault, stood on Earth's surface and felt sunlight on her face for the first time in her life. "We did it," she said to Major Rachel Turner, who had survived the explosion thanks to the tunnel network. "We actually did it." 5 years later, Admiral Morrison stood in the rebuilt city of New York, watching as the first natural rain in 30,000 years fell on Earth's healing surface. Human terraforming ships had worked tirelessly to restore the planet's atmosphere and oceans. Children who had been born on distant human colonies laughed as they played in parks where real grass grew for the first time in millennia. The genetic memory banks that the fleet had carried were being used to restore Earth's extinct animals and plants. The Zephyrian Empire was no more. Without their queens and hive mind, the individual aliens had either died or fled to distant parts of the galaxy. Their former slaves had been freed, and many had joined the growing human alliance. Dr. Amy Foster approached Morrison as he stood watching the rain. "Admiral, we're receiving reports from our colonies. News of the victory has reached every human settlement in the galaxy. They're calling it Liberation Day." Morrison smiled. "Captain Hayes would have been proud to see this?" Amy nodded. "Her sacrifice saved not just Earth but billions of human lives across the galaxy. We've decided to name the rebuilt capital city Hayes in her honor." As Morrison watched children play in the rain, he thought about the long journey that had brought humanity home. 30,000 years of exile had forged them into something stronger than they had ever been before. They had learned that no matter how dark things became, humans never gave up hope. The galaxy now knew the most important lesson in its history: never count humans as defeated until the last one draws their final breath. Earth was alive again, and humanity had become the dominant force in their part of